I want to call you to, again, synthesize. We're not going to do the on-board texting. I want to build in some time to kind of process some things that you've heard today, also thinking about the things from yesterday. Now, we've been doing a lot of heavy lifting. Like, who are we lifting? You. Lift. You. Lift. You. Great. So as we're lifting, there's another term I like to use, and I like to think about this with I have some of my students here who are keeping me honest. Intentionality, right? So as we're lifting youth, we're doing it with intention, and with attention to certain issues. So I'm very proud of this conference and the work that we've done as Youth-Nex, and my director is also proud of this work. And our intention with this conference, we've built these panelists, these panels, these ideas, all around this idea, like there are issues, right? And one of the issues, I just did this with my class, it's like deja vu, right? I was like, what's the overarching issue, right? And we worked up, and then we got to one word, and that one word was oppression. And another word that went along with it was power. Right? So we have been intentional in our lifting of youth around foregrounding the existence and the pervasiveness of oppression, not in a single moment, not within 24 hours or 48 hours, but over time. Bronfenbrenner Brenner talks about this thing called a chrono system, right? The ways in which people are developing over time, right? So I don't want to dig deep. You can take my class if you want, EDLF 3170, all right? Race, ethnicity, and diversity and youth development next semester. But I do want us to be thinking, we are foregrounding these issues, and I don't want that. So when we think about August 11th and August 12th, right? I don't just think about those moments as isolated events, and I think our panelists did a great job of working through that. I think about the gentleman standing in a statue in the back corner in the room. One of the first things greeting me when I walked here for faculty orientation last year. I think about, so I'm not gonna cry. So I think about all these different things. And so when people at UVA, in this institution of higher education, when we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, they're like, Chauncey, what do you think? And I'm like, well, start with that dude. Start there. And then you won't be surprised when the stuff happens. Start there. And it's all love. I say it all in love, but I say it with intention, right? Because I got some heavy lifting to do. And who are we lifting? You. Who are we lifting? You. Amen. All right, so we got 14 minutes. You'll hear from our director in just a second, and we'll kind of close this thing out. But I just want us to move with intention as we are lifting. Great. One simple question that I want you to think about at your tables, and I actually want you to do this. Don't escape. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. What did you learn? What are some key learnings from the conference? What did you learn? Right? And I want you to write it down, do whatever you need to do to hold on to it. And then we'll pass the mic around just for a few minutes to kind of get a sense of where people are. We've heard a lot. We've traveled the world. We've heard different international frameworks. We've heard about policy approaches. We've heard about activists. We've heard about fourth graders learning about social justice and killing it, putting some of my brilliant and lovely students to shame. So get it together, amen. All right, it's all in love, intentionality, lifting youth, right? So this is what we're doing. This is the work. So good, I want you to be a little uncomfortable, so that's why I did that. So I put my body, my black junior professor body in the line of fire. I sacrificed my body with the calculated risk for that purpose, because I'm all about lifting who? And doing it with intention. All right, so the question is, what did you learn? All right, at your table, do that. We'll check back in like 4 minutes, right? So you've already been doing this yesterday, you've been doing it last night, you've been doing it at the breaks, so we're good. This is just review. Amen. All right. And we are back. Lifting. Lifting. One more time. Lifting. We're back. Great. So I think 5 is a decent number. Let's go 3 first. I need 3 key learnings. So I should have 3 hands. So we have multiple tables. So I need 1 learning from 1 table, all right? So I want to see hands. We're going to get a mic to you. 1 key learning right there in the back. All right, and we're listening. We're back. We're here as we're lifting youth intentionally. All right. Yes.
Today or yesterday, I've learned that people here have really good intentions with involving the youth in a lot of things, but you're kind of misguided, because when I look around, I don't really see people my age or close to my age, really. And it really, if you want to get the youth involved, it starts with us and us making decisions on things and us really being involved. And I feel like we don't really have that. But there's a lot of ways that we can, but we just need to get people involved.
Cool. So at the beginning of the conference, I said to hold us accountable to lifting youth and to raising youth voice. But how can we do that when there aren't that many youth at the table, right? There are only just a few of us. Thank you for holding us accountable to that. And that means with the next round of planning for the conference that we have to reach out deep into our networks even further to get folks here, right? Networking with specific classes and schools around the area and beyond. So that is something, so that is a key learning, that like people have good intentions. My advisor has a saying about good intentions, but I will, and the road that they, all right, amen. Y'all know that one. Okay, so thank you, sincerely, thank you. I'm looking at you right there. Thank you so much for holding us accountable as I wish for you. That was an assignment and you got an A+, so I appreciate that. I received that, and we received that, and we will do better, all right, for you as we are lifting youth intentionally. All right, 2 more key learnings. Yes, we're good. Dr. Debnam.
So my table had a really interesting discussion. I think one of the things that it came out, our major learning, is that we need to be more careful about and more intentional about our naming of things, and making sure to name things and call them out for what they are. So if we're talking about economic disadvantage, are we really talking about race? Are we really talking about class? If we're talking about the events of August 11th and 12th, are we calling it supremacy and oppression and Nazis and terrorists, and naming those things for what they are and using those names often and frequently so we don't forget what was really happening and what was really represented, and how that is then impacting us in different ways, and how we, and using the names and and calling it what it is, it allows us to better work to change those things. If we don't call them that, we then forget what really occurred, and we start to heal in the wrong places and heal in the wrong ways.
Did y'all hear that? Do I need to recap, or did y'all get it? All right, that's my colleague, so she's good. She got it. I don't need to. All right. 1 more key learning up here right at the front.
At our table, we talked about what it like, the programs that we have. Like, I was talking about how I was so amazed with so many programs that we have for youth that I never even knew of, and even including our program, I wouldn't have known of it if they wouldn't have came to my school. So, just I guess being more open with the organizations that people have for youth would like benefit us a lot. And we also talked about physical health, because me and Aaron both talked about how we want to do so much for the community, and we said that there's so much more to do, but I was telling her how like I try to do so much and I can't, because then I end up like basically just not helping myself at all and like giving people pieces of me instead of giving them whole. So we talked about how we need to just like remember that even though there's a lot to do, we also have to stay together, like with physical health and everything, emotionally.
All right. Okay, so that sounds like a call for some self-care, right? And so as you're lifting, making sure that you have those lifting you up, but that you're also taking care of yourself from the inside out, right? What you're putting in. Okay, that sounds fantastic. Okay, It is 12:26. Is there one more burning key learning that we missed, and I don't want that to be passed by? Going once, going twice. Lifting? Youth. Great, thank you so much. All right, and Youth Act. And so we're seeing Youth Act from standing, holding us accountable to making sure that we lift them acting and keep them visible in the room. Youth acted on our panel, multiple panels. So as we close, I'm gonna have the organizers come forward. I'm going to get out of the way. But as I get out of the way, we have one more comment. Yes, we have one more comment, and I want to hear from Carrie. Hey, Carrie.
Hello. So we had a very good conversation at our table about the question that I asked. And we were kind of like talking about how the different organizations and programs and amazing work that we're doing in this room, we all have different skills and strengths and weaknesses. And we were talking about how we can, because teen empowerment has done that work of humanization and bringing those people in those spaces and actually like being successful. So, and also recognizing that there's other organizations who has strengths that we don't, and we have strengths that they don't, and how to use each other and network and help each other on those skills. If we don't have it, or if you don't have it, we can help you on those skills, and to use each other as a tool if we don't have the tools that we need in order to get forward. So that's it.
Thank you for that. Brilliantly put. That was the last one key learning that we needed. All right, so utilizing multiple resources. Okay, I'm getting out of the way. I'm gonna stop taking up so much space. And who wants to go? Okay. My name is Dr. Chauncey Smith. It was a pleasure to be a co-chair of this conference. And it was even more of a pleasure to do it with my fantastic colleague. We came in together to do this together, to support each other, to have a smiling face down the hallway on the days that were cloudier than the sunny days. So just a warm, hearty welcome to Dr. Valerie Adams Bass.
I'm back. Yeah. All right. Again, thank you infinitely. Welcome, safe travels. A few things that I want you to walk away from, including what Carrie mentioned, was this network. So for me, I came to this world as a practitioner. I started out working in 4-H, and then I stumbled to other places and serendipitously stumbled into Howard Stevenson's work, who would later become my advisor to receive and pursue my PhD. So I come to this work as a practitioner, and I like to call myself a research practitioner, right? So that's what I do. I want the research to connect with the practice, and that's why I'm so excited that you are all here. Young people, researchers, and practitioners who will hopefully walk away more informed and more passionate about what you do, with more and more connections to spread this work. So I think that's really important. I'm going to also remind you about this idea of trauma after tragedy, right? So here in Charlottesville, someone kicked the elephant, took the Band-Aid off the room. I think it was Dr. Rosen who was here and said, and so what's going on here in Charlottesville? There's lots of opportunities to heal, but my caveat is that before we can rush to heal, we have to experience, or at least acknowledge, the trauma that comes along with these experiences and figure out how to do a better job of healing them and look at the systemic issues that are long-standing, as was mentioned, long before 8/11 and 8/12. I do that this semester in my class. I say we have to look at the Sankofa principle. Before you rush to coming up with a resolution to solve a problem, let's think about the history. So trauma is painful. When I do race and identity work, and I work with adults who say, I want to work with young people, diverse young people, I don't know how to do it, the first thing I say is you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? So if you're new to experiencing racial trauma, then you want to hurry up and put the Band-Aid on it, get some Tylenol, maybe some codeine, and say it's all over. It doesn't happen that way. So I just want you to know, if it's uncomfortable for you, address that uncomfortable, name it as Dr. Debnam said, and then move forward to figure out how to resolve that. So get comfortable being uncomfortable with this work. It's a long run, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, as someone who used to run. And so those are some of the things that I really wanted to just share with you. I want to thank you again. Please walk away more networked, more invigorated, mindful of the things that we need to do for ourselves as well as the things we need to do for one another. As Dr. Smith said, lifting up youth, lifting up the adults who work with youth. I'm telling you, it keeps the gray hair at bay. And safe travels to everyone. Don't forget to return your name tags. Got to do housekeeping. When it's over, turn your name tags into Courtney in the back. And I'm going to turn it over to our new director of the Youth-Nex Center for Effective Youth Development, Dr. Nancy Deutsch.
So thank you all. I'm going to really quickly, before I take just a minute of your time to say some closing words, we're going to have a very brief.
Where does the fight for justice take place? Arm in arm as we march the streets for change? In sanctuary, where books ignite words of power? Where a single hand raised can turn the chapter on our future? Teach, I say, because education is our right. Teach, I say, because when they see you, they see themselves. Teach because giving back moves us forward. Teach, my friends, because teaching is revolutionary.
Thank you. So, good message to end on. So I want to provide a couple of closing words. So first, I actually wanted to respond actually to Carrie's question and respond to what my colleagues, Dr. Adams-Bass and Dr. Smith, had been talking about and reframing us and thinking about. I think that this conference has always been one of my favorite 2 days of the year. This year, even more so. And I think this year it felt particularly important given events in Charlottesville. But I think what's really important is, as they noted, these events were a moment in a long history that was before and was going on. And I wanted to respond in part, I think, to Carrie's question. I grew up in Boston, incredibly segregated place, right? And it's interesting because when I moved here, I had many family members, how do you live somewhere where you see Confederate flags? And I was like, well, do we want to talk about which city had, some of the worst desegregation riots around schools, right? So I think that and one thing that I have done as a white parent in Charlottesville raising a white daughter is think about, from long before August 12th, having had conversations about the spaces we have, right? So we talk about, what does the Confederate flag mean? What are those statues? How do those statues and flags make people feel who don't look like you? Because you're probably going to feel safe in spaces that you walk into, right? And so I think that when we think about bringing together diverse youth to work on issues, yes, it starts with all of us who work in programs. It also starts with all of us who interact individually with youth of all colors, because we can all have conversations. We tend to think about conversations around race and racial socialization as only being important for Black and brown families, and that's not true. We all have work to do with our own youth, with youth who look like us and youth who don't look like us, right? So I wanted to bring that back and think about the way that we think about working with the youth in our lives, even if we don't have formal roles in youth programs, and how we have conversations that can help ground us in the work going forward and make it more possible for then youth to be ready to engage with other youth who may have different experiences and backgrounds from them in doing the important work that needs to be done in their local communities. And so I hope that is a takeaway from me. I've been amazed by all of the incredible young people who have been here, as well as all the programs I've heard about. I'm feeling energized and inspired. As a new director of Youth-Nex, I'm thinking a lot about where we're going to go as a center, and I hope you will all follow us and stay engaged. We need you. We need your work. We need your energy. And so I am asking for my call to action to you. Please, if you're not on our listserv, please get on it. Please respond. Please reach out to us. I think that we all we do better when we're all working together, and I look forward to engaging Youth-Nex in ways to support the work that you are all doing. I think that was all, Doctor. I'm going to turn it back over. No, actually, that's not all. I would like you all to give a big round of applause for Valerie and Chauncey. They have done an incredible job. I mean, think about, they've only recently landed here, and they've brought all this together. So really, this was their brainchild, and I am so thankful to them for bringing this and bringing us this amazing event. So thank you. Another big quick shout out to Ellen and Crystal and Courtney, who were the hands and legs and minds behind everything and kept it going. So thank you guys. And I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Smith, who's going to give you a brief update on the workshop. Thank you all. Please stay engaged with us, and safe travels.
Okay, each of us have a shameless plug. Dr. Bass?
A always goes first, right? So, AB, I am so glad when I got married that my husband's last name was Bass, because I was so used to being at the front of the line with ABA as my last name. Side note. But anyway, we want you to follow us as well on social media. So you can find me at Dr. Adams Bass on social media and connect and give us ideas, particularly the young people, as we think about what should be the topic of our conference next year. So if you guys walk away with ideas for us to think about and ruminate over, please follow us. Tell us what you're doing so we can let other people know what you're doing. You can find me at Dr. Adams Bass. And if you don't find me there and you email me, you'll get it on my signature. Thank you.
Alrighty. And before my shameless plug, on behalf of both of us as co-chairs, we want to, one, thank you for coming. Round of applause for you. And I want to extend our round of applause for Ellen Daniels, Crystal Hayslip, Courtney Lazor, our Youth-Nex admin staff that really helped to get this thing moving. Like, they saved our lives every day. So stand up, if you can, if you're able, and give them. Thank you. Yes. So my shameless plug, my name is Chauncey D. Smith. You can find me, one, on email at Chauncey, that is CHAUNCEY, at virginia.edu. It's Chauncey at virginia.edu. Or you can find me on social media. I launched my ed account. So it is Twitter or Instagram at Teach, TEACH, Chauncey, CHAUNCEY. All right? So I'm on all social media as Teach Chauncey. All righty. And now, so the conference is officially closed, but there is a special workshop that we sent out. We sent out invitations for. People have registered, and there is, from what I hear, so if you're on the wait list, don't feel like you're not going to be able to make it in. Actually check in with us at the door, and you might be able to get in. It's looking like you might be able to get in, all right? So don't be discouraged. Come check in at the door. For those that registered, there is a lunch for you. We did mention that, so there is a lunch for you, and we want to make sure you get that lunch. That lunch will be where?
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
The lunch will be where?
In that room, and the Jordy's talking about is that those two doors right there.
So this is the door where you check in. The lunch is also in this door. We want to make sure that those that registered, we want to get you checked in at the front door, and then also if you're in the wait list, or if you're just interested, come and check in at the door. And we should actually be able to accommodate pretty much anyone that wants to come. The special workshop is...
I just wanted to say, will you just say on the mic, lunch will be ready for those people at 12:45. We want to encourage people to eat at that time before 1 o'clock if possible.
So you want to have your lunch, you want to grab your lunch, eat before 1 o'clock. The conversation will start at 1. And so to make that as smooth as possible, we want to make sure you've eaten, make sure you're good, relieve yourself at the facilities over on both sides. We want to make sure you eat your lunch before 1 o'clock, so when the session starts, we're not tripping over boxes and sandwiches and the like. All right. Yes.
If you're interested in staying in contact with the other members of the audience, the last 2 days, we'll be sending out a Google link, and you can put your information there, and then we'll share it out. So if you say, I know that there was someone on that panel where I talked to in the audience and I didn't get a chance to chat with them, we'll send out a link, and then you can add your information there, and we'll distribute it amongst those of you who are on the list so that you can keep in touch and we can continue to grow and build one another up. So I want to thank you. And again, that workshop is going to be, our lovely presenters are walking in, Association of Black Psychologists Student Circle. We have a special panel that we're going to be doing this afternoon from 1 to 3, and let me get the name right. What now, Charlottesville? A critical conversation about community healing and Black youth engagement and social political context and policy. What now, Charlottesville? If you're on the list or on the waiting list, you're going to, right? And then you'll find out what now, what next. Thank you so, so very much.
Thank you so much. Get home safely.